For years, I used to live in a flat. But while I was in Romania, until 2011, I always had my parents in the countryside. Whenever I went to visit for a holiday or an extended weekend, I could take advantage of their vegetable garden. Just imagine in the summer, the perfume of the freshly picked strawberries. And I don't think anything compares to the smell of like freshly plucked dill that you get out of the garden and you put straight in the home-cooked meal. Now I live in the countryside by Wolverhampton in a house, not a flat. So last year I started some proper gardening. It's been something that I've been longing to do for quite a while. I am Catalina George, Romanian writer and journalist in the UK, and I love to grow my own vegetables and to have a beautiful flower garden. I'm going to get changed now and take you with me into the garden. As springtime really seems to be here, I'm starting to plant my tomatoes today. Last year I planted my tomatoes a bit late in summer. Then I had to move them to the conservatory so that they can ripen and be in a nice warm environment. But they still grew, so we had nice tomatoes late in September and in October. But this year I'm going to plant them in springtime as per these very simple instructions. And later on I'm going to move them outside when it gets really warm, so we can have our nice organic homegrown tomatoes all summer long. I'm just now preparing the compost for the tomato seeds. And I will plant them in a minute. As I'm not very keen on replanting seedlings later on, I'm just going to put these seeds straight into the pots where they will lately grow. Last year I did exactly the same and the plants grew and we had really tasty tomatoes out of them. This year I also want to grow some radishes, mint, and just like last year, dill as well. And I'm preparing now a bit more pots for my herbs and radishes and all the homegrown veggies for this year. I met Sarah at the Shiana Community Project, a charity based in Sparkbrook, Birmingham. I worked on a 2-month social media campaign for them. And Sarah runs the Growing Histories project. She interviews people who garden their own vegetables in and around Birmingham, and these interviews will then be kept and archived with Birmingham Library. But let's meet Sarah and talk to her about what inspired her to run this project. So Sarah, what is the idea behind the whole Growing Histories project?
So it's predominantly an oral history project. We're collecting interviews with people who grow their own food in Birmingham, but also we want to set up community gardens, encourage people to take part and work in community gardens, and we're going to have events like cooking sessions and gardening sessions and some family events as well.
And how did you get to run this project for ACP? What is your background, Sarah?
So my background is in wildlife biology and film making, and I found out about this job and I thought it married my two interests together very well. And yeah, so I went for the interview and got the job, and I think because I have a background in filmmaking, it's a big plus point. Obviously it's people are very visual these days, so getting all this information on film but also people's gardens is very important.
After this project, what are your thoughts for the future?
I'd definitely really like to work in similar work again, sort of gardening and community gardens. I think it's something that I didn't realise quite how important it was before I started this job, but I realised that teaching people to grow their own food and getting people involved as a community to be sustainable is a really important thing.
You have probably seen the plants behind me and Sarah earlier. She's growing them here at ACP, and I can tell you what each of them is. This is red basil. This is African kale. And these are pea shoots. And now back to the countryside in Wolverhampton. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and to like my Facebook page, Land Inside. 20th of April, Wolverhampton, Enoch Powell. I'll tell you more about my experience as an immigrant for 7 years in the UK in my next vlog. Make sure you don't miss it.